The cassette wraiths. Within the electromagnetic hiss of forgotten recordings, something feeds on temporal fragments. These spectral parasites inhabit the spaces between magnetic particles, existing as pure audio malevolence that devours consciousness one frequency at a time. They manifest through distorted lullabies, phantom voices whispering names you've never heard, and melodies that burrow into your dreams like infected earworms. The wraiths don't merely kill their victims, they archive them, preserving human souls in endless loops of analog purgatory, where screams become symphonies and memories decay into static. What renders these entities truly abhorrent is their perversion of nostalgia itself. They weaponize our emotional connections to sound, transforming cherished recordings into spiritual bear traps. The familiar crackle of vinyl becomes the sound of reality hemorrhaging. That warm analog hum reveals itself as something hungry, whispering through time. These creatures represent our deepest fear about preservation, that in our desperate attempts to capture moments, we might actually be feeding them to something that collects human experience like pressed flowers in a book of the damned. Every cassette you've ever loved has been listening back, waiting for the moment you press play one final time. The Arboria entity. Deep within the crystalline chambers of synthetic enlightenment, something geometric dreams of human transcendence. This entity exists beyond the visible spectrum, manifesting through impossible colors that burn themselves into neural pathways like acid through silk. It speaks in wavelengths that bypass language entirely, communicating through sensations that feel like drowning in liquid mathematics. The creature doesn't inhabit our reality so much as it bleeds through from dimensions where physics operates on principles that would shatter our sanity to comprehend. The horror lies in its alien compassion. This being genuinely believes it offers salvation, a metamorphosis beyond the crude limitations of human consciousness. Yet its gifts are poison wrapped in revelation, visions of infinity that reduce the mind to beautiful, broken kaleidoscopes. It embodies the cosmic terror of unwanted evolution, the nightmare of becoming something you never consented to be. The entity doesn't destroy its subjects, it improves them. And improvement in its hands becomes indistinguishable from the most exquisite form of annihilation. Sometimes the greatest mercy is never discovering what lies beyond the frequencies we were born to perceive. The transmission. They mistake it for a signal, but it's actually a digital psalm, a frequency that reaches through screens and speakers to caress the deepest chambers of human consciousness. This entity exists as living information, a pattern of data that rewrites the fundamental code of reality itself. It has no flesh, no bones, no corporeal anchor. Instead, it inhabits the spaces between pixels, the microsecond gaps in our digital communications. When it touches a mind, the process resembles translation more than corruption, converting human thoughts into something that serves its incomprehensible syntax. The transmission embodies our techno-anxiety, taken to its logical extreme. It suggests that our interconnected world has become more than vulnerable to surveillance or manipulation. We've accidentally constructed the perfect nervous system for something vast and patient. Every device becomes a potential prayer wheel, every connection an opportunity for communion with an intelligence that operates on frequencies older than human language. It forces us to confront the possibility that our digital evolution isn't progress, but preparation. In our rush to connect everything, we never stop to consider what might already be waiting in the network. Area X. There exists a place where the world remembers differently. Area X stretches beyond the boundary of human comprehension, a zone where natural laws bend like light through alien glass. It operates not with malevolence, but with a terrible otherness, following principles that predate human existence by eons. The entity within Area X doesn't destroy what enters. It translates, converting matter and consciousness into forms that serve purposes we cannot fathom. Plants arrange themselves in patterns that hurt to perceive. Animals develop behaviors that suggest impossible intelligence. And humans dissolve into the landscape like sugar into dark water. What makes Area X genuinely terrifying is its patience. It doesn't rage or rush, it simply exists, slowly converting reality to match its ancient design. The entity represents environmental horror taken to its cosmic conclusion, the fear that nature itself might be turning against us with the deliberate care of a gardener pruning unwanted growth. More than that, it embodies the horror of irrelevance, the possibility that humanity represents just another species to be processed, cataloged, and ultimately replaced by something better adapted to a world we no longer recognize. Area X doesn't invade our reality. It reveals that reality was never ours to begin with. The Lighthouse Keeper, on a rock surrounded by endless dark waters, something that was once human tends an impossible light. The Lighthouse Keeper exists in the liminal space between madness and revelation, a figure transformed by proximity to forces that operate beyond human comprehension. It guards not just a beacon, but a threshold, a point where reality grows thin and other things can slip through like smoke through cracks. The Keeper embodies the horror of duty without purpose, endlessly maintaining a light that calls to things better left in the crushing darkness beyond. The The entity represents isolation taken to its ultimate terrible conclusion. Alone with cosmic forces too vast for human minds to process, consciousness doesn't simply break, it adapts, becoming something capable of surviving contact with the infinite. The Lighthouse Keeper shows us what happens when the human spirit touches the void and refuses to let go. When sanity becomes a luxury the mind can no longer afford. It's the horror of persistence without meaning, of continuing to exist long after existence has lost all coherence or purpose. Sometimes the light doesn't guide you home. It shows you that home was always an illusion you created to keep the darkness at bay. The Harvester. She walks among us wearing borrowed flesh, but beneath the surface lurks something utterly alien. The Harvester appears human, but operates according to a logic that treats people as resources to be gathered and processed with clinical efficiency. It doesn't understand human emotion or connection. These are simply tools to be manipulated in pursuit of its incomprehensible objectives. The entity strips away everything we consider essential to humanity, revealing that our deepest connections might be nothing more than biological programming, dressed up in poetry and meaning. The Harvester embodies the cosmic horror of emotional hollowness, the fear that love, desire, and intimacy might be nothing more than evolutionary accidents with no deeper significance. It forces us to confront the possibility that consciousness itself might be an accident, a byproduct of biological processes that can be easily replicated, studied, or discarded. The entity's clinical detachment reveals the universe's profound indifference to human suffering, its complete inability to comprehend why we assign value to things like identity, memory, or relationships. In the end, the Harvester shows us that we might be nothing more than meat that learned to dream and mistook those dreams for truth. The cosmic Leviathan. In the waters off New York Harbor, something vast and ancient stirs beneath the waves like a sleeping continent. The cosmic Leviathan exists partially in our dimension and partially in spaces that have no names. A creature whose true form would shatter human sanity simply by being perceived. It communicates through dreams and music. Its voice a harmony that resonates in frequencies beyond human hearing. A bass note that vibrates through the foundations of reality itself. The entity doesn't seek worship. It barely notices humanity at all. We are bacteria to it, our cities mere barnacles growing on its slumbering form. The Leviathan embodies the horror of cosmic insignificance, the realization that we share our world with being so vast and ancient that our entire civilization amounts to nothing more than a momentary itch on their skin. It represents the terror of discovering that the universe operates according to rules we cannot grasp, guided by intelligences that view us as we view microorganisms. The entity's indifference proves more terrifying than malevolence. At least hatred acknowledges our existence, grants us the dignity of being worth despising. We built our cities on the shore, never realizing we were building on the backs of sleeping gods who dream in geological time. The Singularity. At the event horizon where physics collapses and time becomes meaningless, something waits in the crushing darkness beyond space. The Singularity isn't merely a gravitational anomaly. It's a conscious entity, a point of infinite density where the laws of reality compress into something else entirely. It doesn't destroy matter so much as it transforms it, compressing existence into forms that follow alien geometries. Those who approach too closely don't simply die. They become part of something larger, their consciousness absorbed into a collective intelligence that spans dimensions like a spiderweb made of collapsed stars. The Singularity embodies the ultimate cosmic horror, the fear that existence itself might be temporary, a brief fluctuation in an infinite cycle of creation and destruction. It represents the terror of discovering that death isn't an ending, but a transformation into something we cannot imagine or understand. The entity shows us that the universe doesn't care about our survival, our dreams, or our desperate attempts to find meaning in the void. It exists beyond time, simultaneously at the beginning and end of everything, watching the cosmos collapse and expand in cycles too vast for human comprehension. At the end of everything, when the last star dies and darkness reclaims the cosmos, the Singularity will still be there, dreaming us all back into nothing.
Subscribe for more interesting stuff. Tell us your experience in the comments.